Hey guys, hope everyone's doing well. It's a beautiful Monday morning. Getting ready for wedding stuff. I got got my coffee. It's a beautiful morning. I got sales appointments coming up later today, some other calls with leadership, and then obviously wedding prep for the next 2 weeks, and then I'm off on vacation for a few weeks after that. So today, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit of something that was on my mind, and that's usually how I do videos, is things that either questions coming in or things that are kind of relevant that I think might be of good value to you guys. And today thought I'd talk a little bit about compensation packages, base salary versus commission. The reason why it's on my mind is actually recently I designed an entire compensation, proposal for an entire tech company. So everything from SDR, account executive, sales director, I am looking at some of the best things in the market, industry, things that I've worked with, other teams I've worked with, and I know that work myself. So personal experience, everything from commissions only to base plus commission. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to share some of my thoughts. And if you guys use this video, I think it can really help, especially if you're shopping for a job right now. You can either use this for looking at some of the top companies to join and some of their commission structure, or if you already have a job, maybe you can kind of negotiate. A lot of the times I've talked about in other videos on like creating your own job. If you look at the market, sometimes you can create. You don't always have to follow exactly the exact path that's kind of laid out with all the other companies. Okay, not all the time. Generally, it's good to know. Got to know both sides of the coin. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about it. So if you're not familiar with sales vocabulary, or at least in the tech realm, definitely want to familiarize yourself with that. There's certain boot camps I recommend. You can look at the description on checking out some of those that actually give you a good breakdown. And just another side note, today's the information age. There's so much information. And there's so much information, and there's a lot of people I've seen give information, and I'm like, what are they talking about? So nowadays, it's really hard to find the right information. You have to really kind of check that out. So I'll let you guys know that I've been a hiring manager in tech. I've worked in cybersecurity. I've worked in SaaS. I've worked in a few other industries and staffing majority of the time, fintech, as a hiring manager and as a talent leader, meaning I've like run a team of recruiters. And now I'm also doing that. Plus, I'm a lead account executive. So I still do sales on a daily basis. I handle accounts. I handle a team of salespeople. So this is where that's coming from, that information. Okay. So let's talk about, there's commission only, SDR, BDR, AE. What are those? An SDR is a sales development representative. Okay. This is the entry level position that I'm sure you guys have seen many videos on. It's a great place to start. It's usually if you're right out of college or you're looking to break into sales, this is a good example of kind of like where to hone your focus in. Okay. And I'll give you guys some recommendations. Usually you get commission based on the appointments you set, successful appointments, appointment setting, or usually you also get a bonus if they close the deal down the road. So you should understand things like sales funnel, sales pipeline, sales cycle. Okay, so you want to familiarize yourself with certain terminology. With an SDR, usually, this is a general rule of thumb, it's inbound sales, or they have leads, they have a CRM, which is customer relationship management, and they're making phone calls or setting up, outbound email campaigns or social media campaigns, and they're trying to book appointments, they're trying to book one-on-ones to what's called demos or demonstrations with the people higher up to showcase their service or product. Okay. And I've done this before too. I've had to step into SDR roles. And as a lead, if somebody's out or things are not going in a certain area, I have to look at and jump in. So I've done the role. And with companies I've done in the past, this is a few years ago. So just a heads up, but I was getting paid about $40 per successful sales demo appointment. Okay. Now there were warm leads. Now, looking at compensation structures, you want to make sure, whatever company you join, that the commission for outbound is significantly higher than the commission for inbound. And the difference is inbound is sales kind of coming in. Usually they have a marketing campaign or advertising campaign, And then it's people that are interested. They're already kind of coming in like, oh, I saw this ad. I'd like to learn more. That's an inbound. Outbound is what's like, typically called cold calling. And, it's you have a potential group of leads, but nobody's contacted them before. They might not know about your company, and you're having to call them and talk to them and get them interested in your product or service. And in the client's perspective, this is totally coming out of left field. They're like, oh, I've never seen an ad. I have no idea who you guys are. So it is significantly harder to make business if you're doing outbound sales. So when you're looking at a company, the commission structure should be that outbound sales, outbound business development has a higher commission rate than inbound. Okay. So outbound, usually I would say, and by the way, so I did outbound sales, especially when I was a recruiter. I was doing like 70 to 100 phone calls a day, cold calling all the time. So I know how that goes. And then when I was in SaaS sales, I was the highest commission, kind of like, this was before kind of things were cemented to like, oh, you're an SDR, BDR. You're kind of doing full cycle, which means I was cold calling leads, setting up the appointment, then doing the demo, and then closing the lead. That's what full cycle means. It means you're kind of doing a little bit of everything. You're bringing a sales cycle from beginning to end, full sales completion. And I was the highest commission only rep of this company. There was a team of us, so I was the highest person on that team to make the most sales. And for just commissions, I didn't get any base, and the commissions were significantly higher. So I think if I was to make a sale for commission only at the time, I'd get about $400. This is like 6 years ago now, but would make about $400. If you're doing that a day, it could be very lucrative. Now, in a lot of other ones, you have a base plus commission. Okay, so some tips that I would recommend. If you are part of a small organization, and you're like the first salesperson ever on that company, I would try to negotiate to make sure you have a high base, and probably either high base and medium to larger commission structure. The reason is it is significantly harder if you're the first person. There's an old saying in business, pioneering don't pay. If you're the first person to kind of set up, you're really building the department. You're doing the sales scripts, you're doing the sales funnel, you're doing everything, lead generation, and it is significantly harder for you to do, and you should be compensated based on the amount of time investment you're giving. If you are going into a company that has already a structure, that already has leads being generated, that already has a team, it is way easier for you because you're basically just copying already their proven success strategies. And in that case, usually in companies, your base is pretty low, but your commissions are pretty high. Okay, so I would say that if you're kind of like it's a brand new company and you're like the first salesperson, I would negotiate a high base. Okay, because you need that safety net, because usually sales are going to take a lot longer and then until you kind of ramp up, versus a company that's kind of been around the block and already has a proven success pattern. You probably will be okay with getting a lower base but high commission, as long as you know that other people in the sales organization are at least making what they're touting. I know I see a lot of job ads. They're like, you can make $250 to $300K a year. Great. Is it like, are we talking about top 10% of people doing it? Are we talking about like there's one person in the company? Or is that like, yeah, maybe you're forecasting that, but has anybody actually done it? So you got to ask those questions when you're kind of shopping around. So number one, you're asking the hiring manager, and I would recommend you ask kind of like, if you're doing a panel interview, you're asking the hiring manager, but also the sales director should be on that call because you'll be reporting to him. So you can ask simple questions like such as, tell me a little bit about the sales cycle. How many sales are usually made per month by, the average person? What are the top 10% of salespeople doing in this company? Like little things like that, you can kind of reverse engineer, what's going to be done. So that's a little example. Sorry, I kind of went off track, but SDR is sales development representative. You're kind of doing appointment setting. BDR is business development representative, and you're doing, in my mind, You're doing business development. You're looking for new accounts. You're able to book new accounts. So usually SDR, you're getting small commission. BDR, you're getting bigger commission. AE, which stands for an account executive. Sorry, it's morning. Tongue tied this morning. Oh, did I leave a ring? Nuts. Account executive, you are managing the client through the entire process. Usually you're doing a demonstration. You're doing a one-on-one, I'm sure you guys have seen that, one-on-one Zoom call. Let me share my screen. Let me walk you through our product. Okay, that's kind of their job, and their job is to usually close the client, okay? Make sure that they sign on the dotted line or the DocuSign these days, and they get a commission accordingly. And the commissions can range from, I've seen ones at 1%, all the range up to 30%. It really depends on the deal size, how easy the deal, the overhead the company has. Is the company spending a lot of money on their advertising, their marketing, other salaries throughout the company, the tools? They're spending money on like Zoom info, LinkedIn advertising. Those go into it, right? And you have to think about, as a salesperson, and this is just my first ever kind of like corporate sales role was called the draw system. The draw system means that you got a base salary, and usually you had 90 days to start making commissions. Okay, if you think about it, it really is kind of like taking a loan from the bank. Okay, the company, is investing in your base salary. They're investing in your base salary. They're spending, okay, let's say your base salary is $60,000. They're giving you $60,000. They're expecting you to make back way more than $60,000. You have to make back plus the amount that they're spending and then some more. Okay. And I don't know if a lot of salespeople think about it, because I talked to them and they're happy with just the base, and then they get kind of weirded out that they got fired because they made only a few sales. I'm like, what the heck? You have to make sure that you're making enough sales to make back your initial salary. Otherwise, why would the company hold on to you? Okay, then they're just losing money. Okay, you have to make enough in sales to cover your base salary plus more. Otherwise, you're not worth the investment to them. I'm just letting you know, guys, what usually leaders are thinking about when they're hiring new people. They're thinking in the interview, can I see this guy giving us a return on investment within the next 6 months to 2 years? That's what they're thinking, because that's what I'm thinking when I hire people. Okay? So, and it's okay to like the person and be friendly and like, hey, is this person going to be a valued company culture wise? But it is a business, and you have to think like you have to be making more than your salary dictates. Okay. And they want you to succeed. If you succeed, they succeed. So kind of think about that from a hiring manager's perspective. So those are kind of some ideas. And then when you start getting higher up, there should be bonuses. There needs to be a little bit more incentive. There has to be incentives kind of going around in the company. So some incentives you might see are like sales contests. These range from having a new car to a vacation to electronics. I remember when I was doing it, I got a bunch of electronics. I think they're kind of like obsolete. One was not AirPods, but like the old Bluetooth that looked like a collar, and I won the sales contest. I didn't even know I had won. It was kind of one of those things where they announced, and the winner, number sales of the month. So, and that was the big item back then. Now it's like, God, please give me like, I hope I get like a Australian vacation or something. Anyway, so you can have sales contests to motivate certain people. I think that some of the best companies have a few bonuses tied in with team development and overall success of the company. Okay. So for example, usually each person gets a commission. They get commission whether they get a commission if they book an appointment, or kind of like halfway there, they get another commission if they follow through, if the deal is closed. They also get a higher commission if they make a certain number of sales, like succeeding sales per month. Okay, it's like, hey, if you do the average, you're still going to win, you're still going to get money, but if you go above and beyond, I'll give you even more. That's usually the commission structures that I think do the best for individual achievement. There should be also a commission structure tied into the group achievement. So say you have 3 sales teams, right? You can have one where there's a sales contest for the number one seller of the month, but also like the best team also gets a little bit of a bonus too. Okay. It could be a total, doesn't have to always be money. It could be like, hey, and we're all going to have this 5-star restaurant. We're all going out if we all win it. Something that's like fun. It could be something fun. And guess what? You get to take off Friday or something, something like that. So there's other ways of doing motivation and incentive of figuring out for the team. When you get higher up to like sales director, you like for me, for example, as a lead account executive, so I lead accounts as well as team members. So the success is dependent on the team. But you can also look at compensation packages that have profit sharing, which means like, overall the company did super well and everybody shares. It's a whole win-win. It's not just salespeople, but it's also like, everybody in the entire company. I've been in companies where like it's like 2%, and that can be significant. Something to also consider is benefit packages. Okay. Um, a lot of people, I think, especially in the age of gig economy, are missing out on compensation packages if they don't have medical or dental or health insurance or 401k matching. Very important. It's basically just free money that your company is matching with you that you should consider looking into. In sales, honestly, it's not that common until you get to an account executive or higher up roles. When you're starting out, especially SDR, BDR, you don't usually get benefits all the time. If you do, that's awesome. But you always want to be looking at a few different things. You want to be looking at the barrier to entry, the ease. Like, and what I mean by that is how easy is it to make sales in this company, right? Are other people doing it? What is the sales cycle? What is the duration? What is the product? Does the product resonate with the market? That's like one of the biggest things. I see a lot of people joining companies, um, and it's like the worst product in the world, or a product that's becoming obsolete. Very significant to look at. If it's becoming obsolete, like say back in the day, would you rather be a salesperson for a streaming service on their way up, or would you like to be a salesperson for CDs and DVDs? Right? You want to make sure it's relevant to the market and it's kind of following at least a profitable trajectory and in line with market trends. So think about that. When you're also going into it, what is the feedback loop? Are you getting feedback from teams? Or are you having to kind of create it all on your own? Is there team development? Is there career advancement? How long does it take to get career advancement? What is the compensation package? Not just the pay. You want to make sure understand is it commission only? If it's commission only, it better be significant. If it's base plus commission, is the base enough for you to survive on? And is the commission structure worth it and a very doable and kind of the right incentive? Is there other benefits? Parking, benefits packages, right? Other things like that to take into account that give you the right idea on what's the right commission structure. Does the company have some kind of profit sharing or advancement opportunities or like other services they provide? I know one I was part of where they gave, I think it was a class pass. I think for fitness, yeah, they give you like fitness and sauna and little things like that, and mental health days, flex time. So you need to look at all the different traits of a compensation package, okay? And ideally, you want to get to the point where you're copying from the top 10% of a company. So I would always understand jumping into a job interview. What is kind of the average person doing? What is the highest people doing? How long did it take them to get there? Right? Is there any type of program that allows you to learn from those top people and learning the sales cycle fully? Now, if you're just starting out, and if you're looking for work, if you're like, it is really tough to get into tech sales right now. Like if you're having that kind of difficulty, I totally understand looking at commission only, or I would only do it though if it's really well worth it. But I would understand if it was commission only, or if you're just trying to get your foot in the door. It's better to do like some sales experience at any type of sales, and then leverage that on your resume to get into tech sales. If you're coming into tech sales from like a really tough, you've done something that has nothing to do with customer service or anything like that. So like say, I don't know what's a good example. You were into plumbing. Nothing wrong with plumbing, but if you don't articulate that on your resume, it's going to be really hard for you to break into tech sales. Okay, you need to have some kind of business development background, or at least customer service oriented background, and showcase that to the tech company in order for them to give you a shot. Okay. And then when you're at the shot, ask those questions I recommended. I know this video has been all over the place. It's kind of stream of consciousness today. I hope it's been helpful. I got to get going for my own work. But feel free to message out to me. Check out some of the links below with recommendations. If you need free resumes, obviously, I mentioned that before. You can check out the Google Drive. I've left a bunch of resumes that I have seen that I know work. And so you can use those to your advantage. And then reach out to me if you need help. Also, yeah, I just launched the resume to offer.com. If you want to book a one-on-one with me. So if you want to book a one-on-one, I've had two on Sunday that I'm really excited about. David, special shout out to David. We're going to do our session later today. And then Harold, who booked 3, and we're going to be talking about him, and he wants to break into cyber sales. So we're going to be talking about that. And so if you want a one-on-one, I do usually a mock interview. I usually do a consultation on kind of like where you're at, what skills you need to work on, and I look at all your stuff. We do private coaching, and then also sales development. If you need help, basically what skills to work on, and even if you like have a product right now and you're trying to work on your pitch, and maybe I can identify maybe a few gaps in your approach. Happy to help that way. So hope that's helpful. It's going to be a great week, and I'll catch you guys later. Okay, cheers.